Yeah, baby.
Hey Jim, welcome back to my beautiful 1985 Honda Accord. In the last video I showed you the basics of what kind of condition the car was in. Let's have a second look. I've been cleaning it out. There's a little bit of rust down here in the bottom, but it doesn't seem too terrible. Seems, passable at least for a $200 car. But everything is so dirty, and there's like this lichen or something growing on the outside of the windows. The interior is just really bad. I mean, these seats, everything is just really gross. So I think I need to just completely clean this. Even if it never is going to run, I'm still going to have to work on it. I'm going to have to be touching stuff. So the first step here is I've really just got to pressure wash this thing. I think I'm going to take the seats out. Oh, this carpeting. Oh, and in the last video, stupid me, I jiggled around the air conditioner compressor and called it the power steering pump. So yes, this car has air conditioning, or at least some of the components. But it's just, so bad and so dirty. And I found the mirror, the broken off mirror. There's that part, and there's some other parts. Power steering shroud. There's the coil, and yet there's a brand new coil. And the receipt, the box was in the trunk, and the receipt from that was from April 22nd, and this is the end of May, so it's pretty gross in here. I'm just going to have to really do something about this. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to clean the hell out of this thing. This is quite satisfying. You can see the difference. This is where I've pressure washed, and this is where I haven't done it yet. You can see the edge. It's like I'm painting in reverse, going along with the pressure washer. It's really kind of fun watching the dirt just go away. Certainly was fun cleaning the outside. I know it doesn't look that great, but if I wiped it off, all that nasty, sticky stuff all over it has come off. And the engine bay is looking a little bit better. Not afraid to touch everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull the seats out. Should be pretty easy. There's a bolt right here, and another one over there, and there should be a couple of bolts in the back. All this should move manually, so it should be easy enough to pull them out. Back seat should just pop right out. And I don't know about the back of the back seat, but I know the bottom should just pop right out. I'll have to look and see. The back probably will come off pretty easy. And then I just want to pressure wash all of this. It's supposed to be dry for the next week, or not totally dry. It's North Carolina, but it's supposed to be dry enough where I don't feel too bad about the idea of getting all this stuff wet and letting it air dry and not getting mildew. And you know what? How could it be any worse than what it already is? This is working pretty good. There's your before, and there's your after. It comes up pretty clean compared to what we're starting with here. And it's working on the back seat. Here you can see while I do it here. Oh, I got the safety lock on. There we go. Nope. Hold on. There we go. Not that easy doing this with one hand. Okay, watch how well this works. Like magic. So while all of my freshly cleaned upholstery is drying out, I decided to go ahead and try to reseat the bead on this flat tire. And I was able to successfully do that. I simply had to take it off the car, lay it down here, and jiggle it around while I was putting air in, and it was able to seal on the front. And then on the back, it was still about an inch inside of the actual bead on the rim, but it was able to seal enough to start getting pressure. And after I put about 15 pounds of pressure in, it pushed the backside bead out and it went pow kind of loud, and my bead is seated, tire holds air, it's all good. But this is something I have never seen before. Decided to take a look here at the brakes while I have the tire off. Motor looks pretty rusty, but see anything wrong there? Brakes need brake shoes. This is the caliper. Where are the brake shoes? It has no brake shoes. I'm going to have to check the other four quarters and see what other surprises the brakes have in store for me. Well, this one at least has a brake pad. Terrible when the big improvement is actually having pads. And then we got a nice little clunk in the steering, so that's nice. And I grab the, oh yeah, so the CV joints are probably bad there. So far it needs everything. $200, baby. Well, this is interesting. The gentleman that sold me this car for $200 told me that he thought all it needed was a distributor. And I found a box and a receipt in the trunk from about a month before I bought the car, where he had purchased a brand new coil. And it looks like, I didn't find a box or a receipt, but it looks like the wires and the cap all look relatively new. And he said it needs a distributor. So I thought, okay, let me see what's going on here. And I took off the distributor, and look what we find. Those of you in the know will immediately notice what is missing. Those of you that don't know what the inside of these distributors are supposed to look like, I can tell you that there is supposed to be a part called the rotor right here. It's an elongated thing, and it takes the charge, and as this spins, this shaft has a gear on the other end of it, and it's driven by the engine, and it spins. And when it spins, with that rotor on top, every time a spark comes through, the spark comes from this wire, which comes from the coil, and every time it comes in, depending on the position of that little rotor, it decides which one of these is supposed to get the spark. Well, the rotor is missing completely. Yeah, that is a brand new cap and no rotor. So I wonder if that's all that needs to be addressed here to make this bad distributor work. And all of these hoses that have been disconnected, I know I said 14 before, but I think I'm up to like 23. So basically, if you want to know what's been disconnected, all of those. I think all of those have been disconnected. I wonder what that is. Anyway, she needs a rotor, and she needs new rotors. $200, baby. I decided to put the battery in and hooked it up, did not disconnect the scary red wire. I went inside and turned the key, and the dashboard lit up. I mean, all of the test lights, the battery light and all of that kind of stuff that normally would light up before you actually start the car, lit up, looked good. I went ahead and turned the key further to the start position. As soon as I hit start position, the whole thing went and went dark. And I assumed it was a bad ground here, because when I trace this ground wire down, it gets down into some real sketchy looking stuff here. So I tried to jump the ground side, and I've tried it a couple different places, and it didn't seem to change anything. Nothing more came back alive. Everything is nice and tight, so I'm going to have to look into this a little more another time. I have to go camping. Oh, have to. I want to go camping. This is a holiday weekend, so I'm going camping with my beautiful wife Shannon in the beautiful Bluebird bus. So look at this lovely. I think that's the original throttle cable, and they have replaced it with this mess. You see that silver line there? It loops around in here because it's too long, and apparently they didn't know how to cut it. But look at this professional job here. They've just manhandled this bracket into position from somewhere else. Oh, look at that. That's a nice way to attach it on there. Look at this. This is just quality all the way through and through. All right, so I can't bump it and see if it turns over. I imagine it does, or the guy wouldn't have put a new distributor cap. I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe he would. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up for today, and I'll get back to this next week, because I'm going to spend the rest of the weekend enjoying my wife and my Bluebird bus. I hope everyone has a lovely, lovely holiday weekend, and thanks for watching.